Today, we're going to be taking a look at a tabletop role-playing system that is, thankfully, rules heavy. Up next. What is up, everyone? I am Paul the Techno Funk Boy, and you are tuned in to Everything Board Games. We're taking a look at a tabletop role-playing game today. As of the recording of this, we're just a few days away from the start of the Kickstarter for Alaria, Valor and Company. Now, I made a little joke up front that this is thankfully rules heavy, and there's been a lot of games that tabletop games that I've reviewed. That I've really liked that brag about being rules light and being able to jump right into it. But this is definitely one of those games for when you want to dig deeper. And the long and the short of it is, I think this is a really good system for that purpose. And so if that is something that you are looking for, you're going to want to check out this Kickstarter. As always, the links are down below in the description. I provided access to a beta version of the rules for the purposes of this review. And so while some of the details might change before the full release, the basics should remain the same. As I said, general reactions. This is a very tactical game, and the rules fit into that very well. It is a game that provides instant gratification for good tactics and instant punishment for bad tactics. And so it is a game that's expecting you to assess, learn, and adapt as you go. So getting into just the general world here, Alaria is not just the rule set of the Valor and Company, but the world setting as well. What I like about it is it's as far as a world goes, it's not overwhelming. It's a region, but it is a region with a lot of mystery and a lot of unknowns and a lot of things that can happen, not just in the in the main city, but also in the wilderness as more and more is discovered. The mechanics of the game, at least the skill sets, skill challenges are done with playing cards, which had a nice effect, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But instead of dice rolls, what you're doing is you're drawing cards and declaring a suit for your your results before you do so. And so the more of your suit that you draw, the better things go. Now, when I played a kind of an introduction game, we had 4 characters, and so at some point we kind of decided, because our thief-like character kept picking diamonds because that's what the thief wanted, and so we kind of quickly figured out, it's like, hey, we've also got a cleric, and the cleric can go for the hearts, and the paladin's got a big sword, so go with spades, and then the fighter will have the club. This is what I found interesting that I did not think about before. We very quickly started counting cards, and I really actually liked this aspect of it, because as we were like the thief was doing most of the skill challenges and getting just no diamonds, and so toward the end we were like, all right, everybody's picking diamonds from now on, because clearly all of the diamonds are on the bottom half of the deck. I like this because there's a certain amount of strategy, even with the randomness, even with that random aspect, there's still room there for you to pay attention and for you to figure out what the best odds are. And so I didn't think of, I thought it's like, okay, that's kind of fun. That's kind of clever, doing the playing cards. But I didn't think it through where a dice roll is very strictly a dice roll. But drawing cards, you can learn from that. You can adapt to that. And that is an aspect that I really appreciated. Now, there's not actually a lot of drawing cards in the battle itself. The battles are played out by the strategy. And in it, you get, you choose what to do. You choose how to defend. You choose whether to push yourself on the offenses or pull back on the defenses. You choose, where to set up and how to deal with oncoming attackers and all that. But the results of each action are determined not by not by dice, not by cards, but mostly, with some exceptions, but mostly by the strategy itself. Now, this was a bit of a paradigm shift for me because after ages of playing all of the other role-playing games, I was like, okay, what do I roll? What do I roll now? And this kind of takes that randomness out of it. I in a very, very different way, but you've probably heard me talk about one of my favorite systems, the gumshoe system or esoterrorist or fear itself, those type of systems that take dice rolls out of investigation. This is this is the same kind of concept that where they take the randomness out of most of the battle and rely on your decisions on how it's going to go. And so too many big mistakes and you have nothing to fall back on. You can't be looking at that dice and going, okay, well, at least if they roll a 1, then we'll be okay. The results of the battle are on you. Part of that I really, really like because we've all been in that battle, right? That has either gone one way or another. Like, I ran a very difficult battle in D&D very recently for some friends, and the villain, I couldn't roll. I couldn't roll a 2-digit number to save my life, and it ended up being an easy battle. Or it could go the other way around, where the players just like their strategy is sound, the odds are in their favor, but they cannot roll out of that fight. Those can be very, very frustrating. Now, the trade-off in that is that you lose that tension of the rolling of the dice, which is, there's a reason that there's so many dice games. It's for that. And so going in, if you're used to like the Dungeons and Dragons styles, or nearly any other game where you're rolling dice constantly. This is going to be a paradigm shift, and it's going to take like a reset of the brain to really kind of shift into that gear and to understand exactly what's going on. Mentioned rules heavy a couple of times. There is a lot that you can do in battle. There are a lot of different strategies you can perform. There's a lot of different ways that you can set up your team. You can. There's a lot of different ways that anything can go. And I'll say this about the sample adventures in there too. There's an openness to this system where there in the game we played, there were multiple different paths that we could have gone to get to the same result. And in the other sample adventures, I found the same thing. This was set up for the players to really think about it and think about which way they wanted to go instead of following a path. It's the same way with battles. There's 100 different ways a battle can go, 100 different things that the players can do in any given situation. And that is a lot of where these rules are coming in, of these different type of maneuvers, different type of strategies that can be played. So this is not one of those games that you're going to be able to just pick up, an hour before the game and learn everything. This is going to be one that both from the game master and from the players, there's going to have to be, a growing understanding of the way things go. Now, that doesn't mean that the players can't enjoy a game. I had a passing familiarity with the rules when we started our sample game with the designer Alex, which he did a fantastic job. It was a ton of fun, but he was able to guide us through all of those decisions and still make it really, really enjoyable. So that's going to be the target audience here, right? Is going to be the player who doesn't mind getting into the weeds of this thing and hacking their way out. The player who really likes the tactical nature of things, who really likes setting up, very much kind of a war games strategy of how we're going to approach things. And not only in battle, but also with the adventure itself. If this is kind of, what your players would like, this is a really good option for them. And I was very, very happy with our adventure that we had. I had a ton of fun in it, and looking through the rules and the other adventures, there's a ton that you can do here that is very, very cool. And I know that they are expanding it. Going to be expanding it during the Kickstarter to get it to its full length. And so I know there's going to be a lot more that you can dig into there. Now, one of the things that I've kind of purposely left till the end is the party aspect of the game. And so this is a game that encourages you to play more than one character. And in fact, what you see in the adventures is that there is there's what I'll call a level cap. Okay, but it is very much, if any of you played like these old like the original, like the AD&D games, right? And they would say that like your the total of all the players' levels should be 35, right? Whatever the case may be. What they're kind of communicating is like, look, if you've got 7 players, then they can all be at level 5, but if you've got 4 players, they need to be a lot higher. That's kind of the way things are here. You have the option to play more than one lower level character or one higher level character or group, and so each player is going to have multiple characters. And then the whole group. So the whole group, if you have 3 players, they might have 6 characters that they're running, or more or less, or however they want to split it up. This adds to the battle system. Okay, so it makes more moving parts, and more moving parts makes more opportunity to try a different approach, to try some sort of strategy, to work out a plan. It at least in my experience of the game, it made the role-playing aspect of it harder. And this is one thing that I'm noticing in the sample adventures, and this is very much in line with the early role-playing games, like the old Dungeons and Dragons things, is that the plot isn't very much tied to your character. The plot is tied to the situation, and your characters are trying to solve it, but they're but they may probably are not directly involved in it. Now, you as the game master can change that if you wish, but it does make a um, a particular obstacle to overcome when everybody's playing more than one character. And so that's going to be something else to keep in mind, that that if your players are looking for a strategy heavy game with some with a pretty neat battle system and all that, but they love the big role playing scenes, then definitely doesn't exclude this game, but it does mean that as the game master, you're going to have to work around that in particular ways that you might not need to you probably won't need to in like a Dungeons and Dragons setting or something like that. So this game is targeted to very, very specific parties, very, very specific type of players. This is it's very much a good throwback to those old roots of the older style of adventures, with heavy war game elements that make it stand out. And so I very much this is something that I would recommend for those particular players. If your players are set on rolling the dice and they're set on the the kind of the 5th edition style of battle and stuff, then it's not going to be for you. But if your players are looking for a challenge that is going to keep them on their toes, that is going to keep them thinking the entire game, that's going to keep them looking for opportunities, for advantages, anything they can find, this is right up your alley. So, as I mentioned before, all the links are down below. Really appreciate Alex for letting me take a look at this game. It is a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the full product. And in the meantime, stay tuned into everythingboardgames.com. If you haven't followed us on YouTube, please do so. The next tabletop game that I'm working on right now, it's going to be an interesting one, and so I'm not convinced I like it yet or not, but we'll talk about that next time. In the meantime, appreciate y'all, and I hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time.